All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Andy Sievers. I am the CEO and co-founder of Taste. Some of the best recommendations come from two places, your friends and the locals. But the problem is, when we go out to eat, this is what happens.
What do you want? What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want? What do you want?
When people go out, they want to trust that the decision they make is going to lead to a great experience. But we're stuck with options like Yelp, where you don't know who wrote that review, and the star rating system, it's completely broken. We're talking about a system based on threes. When we have an average experience, we're supposed to give it a 3. But we break the system every time we take an Uber, and they almost took my life, but I'll give them a 5-star because I feel bad. I want to keep their reviews high. And so we end up with a system of all the good things are between 4 and 5 stars. What if there was a better way? Well, Taste is a system based off of locals and favorites. We take the value of a favorite and we rank restaurants. So as a local, you get one favorite in each category. And if you only hear one thing, hear this. You only get one favorite. The thing that's valuable about a favorite is you only get one. Let me show you how the system works. So as a local, you say, this is my one favorite burger place. You assign your 100 points to that burger place, and we take all of the locals and their scores, and we rank them. You can even see your friends' favorites. You can also go out and check in. If you're that foodie, you may actually know more about the coffee scene. If you've been to 10 coffee shops, your favorite is actually a bit more valuable. So by checking into restaurants, you can hit different milestones and increase the value of that score. This is currently a patent pending system. Our main revenue driver is advertising. We have valuable content that people want. People are searching for it. People are clicking on those top 10 places to live in the Southeast articles because they want this content. And so our main revenue is through advertising, both through our web portal and through our mobile app. But we thought, okay, how valuable is this content? So we ran some tests. In one day, we saw organic traffic of 12,000. So this is without any money spent. We posted this on Charleston FYI, and we saw it shared over 60 times, and that's not even including people tagging their friends in the comment section. We decided to boost the post, and for anybody who's in the advertising world, you'll know that 17 cents per click is a great click-through rate. And this is just one. We've run tests 5 or 6 times through the site, and we've seen as low as 10 cents per click. People really want this content. But the problem is, Yelp is our main way of deciding where to eat. A company that I hear endlessly people say, I hate this company. But this is a $1.3 billion company that corners the market. If this isn't a market ready for disruption, I don't know what is. We think that we can be this disruption. We have a really great team too to make it happen. I can answer more questions about the team in the questions after. But don't just take our word for it. We've been featured in CNET, Forbes, and Huffington Post. They have recognized that this system is changing the game. But we need your help. We're raising $250,000 because we believe that this system can intrinsically change the way people decide where to eat, simply through a positive experience, favorites. Once again, I'm Andy Sievers. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Taste, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Thanks so much.
Sure. I agree with you that I don't rely on online resources for information on where to go because they'll lead us to wherever. But
Right.
It's more personal. How do you overcome that perception though that your place? How do you educate people that Taste is a better source of information? And then also, how do you entice people to actually go in and rank or put in their favorites? Like, well, what's in it for me to contribute to your platform so that there's content?
Sure. So there's two parts to that question. Let me address. So we take our content, so our top 10 burgers in Charleston, let's use this as an example, and we put it out as content. And it goes viral, gets shared, and through every article, we use that as a sales funnel. So every article explains the system of what taste is, how it's valuable, and it encourages people to, right now our MVP is just an iOS app. It's download the iOS app and set your favorites. And so we wanted to see, will people do that? The downloading an app is a bit of a hurdle, so we are going web as well. You're gonna be able to click on that article and right there log in and set your favorites. But the amount of people who, once they download the app, sign up with Facebook, which is a requirement because that validates you're a real person, and then set a favorite, we have a really high conversion rate. So we feel we've validated that people will set favorites because they want to be part of this kind of community to say, okay, no, Pose is way better than Sesame like favorite, because that potentially brings it up to the top of the list. It also allows, I can see all of my friends' favorites automatically. So there's no following your friends, no searching for them, and just to see it's there right there. If you're connected on Facebook and they're in Taste, you can see their favorites automatically.
All right.
Did I answer your question fully?
Yes.
Okay.
Good presentation. I mean, I think you've got all the points down, and it flows really, really very well. What
Thank you.
is there? Kind of a little bit of the same question as Dave had, but is there, especially on the check-in, is there any money back to the user or value back to the user of, discounts or whatever? And then how do you match that up with the vendors so it's not conflicting?
Yeah, no, I'm so glad you asked that question. So part of our next monetization strategy is through a Taste Pro plan. We want users the foodie who's the coffee snob friend that we all know, or the guy who's like, Chicago style pizza, like I'll tell you where the best Chicago style pizza is in Charleston. For a subscription fee, we expect $5 a month. You will then have access to those additional things. So that's everything from discounts, being able to submit comments directly to the restaurant owner. So this isn't a public bash the place. This is because, look, I know about coffee and I want you to be better. So having a direct line of access. And then from the vendor side, being able to go in and say, okay, who favorites my restaurants? Okay, women in their mid-20s. Who checks in here? Okay, men in their upper 30s. Like, that's kind of an interesting statistic. And here's all this feedback from people who really care about coffee. And then eventually the long term is they'll be able to place ads within their profile. So they won't be able to manipulate the list, but there's we've seen it in a couple other apps like Snapchat and Pokemon Go. There's a way to encourage people to come to your store, because really, if you can get 100 people to come to your store, odds are maybe 10% will favorite you, and that's going to help bump you up the list. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
All right, awesome.
So I thought it was a very interesting presentation.
Thanks.
Couple quick questions. What happens if, for example, I'm in Charleston and there's not any really good Indian restaurants?
Sure.
And so even if I have a favorite, it's still 3.8 rather than a 4.7. How do you reconcile that?
Make sure I answer your question fully. So right now we have 9 categories, but let's say we decide to add Indian as one of the categories. So if you don't have a favorite Indian place, you don't have to set one. That's totally okay. But you will get a group of people who feel like they do have a favorite Indian place. And so they will set their one favorite Indian place. So although what we see right now in Charleston, for example, is burgers, everyone's got a favorite burger place. So the amount of people who've set favorites in burgers is insane. But lunch, people have favorite lunch places, but it's a little bit more spread out. So right now there's a top 30 of burgers. There's like a top 60 list of lunch places because it's so spread out. But what we've seen is even though there's such a spread out list, Five Loaves Cafe is still the dominant winner, which is awesome because if you go on Yelp, they have a 4.1, 4.2 rating, but you ask a lot of locals here and they will say Five Loaves Cafe is awesome. And so we think that's shown a big differentiation is, yes, there might not be a ton of really good places, but when it comes to favorites, if there are enough people who are willing to say, yes, this is my one favorite, it will create a list regardless.
Okay, and then the second question I have is on the revenue model. So I understand you have one with 12,000 clicks or something like that. What I would love to know is more details of how the revenue model builds out so that we anticipate if we get this, we will have that much money coming in.
Sure.
Because right now that seems to be a little bit up in the air.
Yeah, and in this setting, we've realized you get into the numbers in that case, and people are like, I'm just figuring out what like a favorite is. Like that gets a little bit far. So in the beginning model, so we haven't launched the advertising model on our site yet. Just in the last 2 months, we've identified, okay, this is really valuable. So we ran these tests on Charleston FYI. So now we have our website up, our web portal, where we take the lists from the app and we put them in content form. And so just like you would click on a link in Facebook and it would be, it'd have the pictures and the facts, same idea, but pulled from Taste. On the side, that's where we displayed the advertising. And we've identified that we need about, the goal in year one with $250,000 is 65 million reach. So reach is just how many people have seen the post on Facebook. That's it. Literally just how many people saw something about that post. Maybe they Googled it, didn't even click on it. With a 7% click-through, with I forget the exact number, I should get that locked down, but a certain percent sign up and then a certain percent downloading the app. We expect that's at the point where we can start. It's not a huge number, but it's in the $300,000 range for the end of year two. And then that doesn't include the Taste Pro plan or the advertising revenue generated from the restaurant portal.
So I have one other maybe variation on Dave's question,
Sure.
which is without getting drugged back into the sort of 5-star.
I know it's
right?
like,
Maybe a different way to ask that question is there some value in me, if I'm a user, being able to favorite something that doesn't exist, right? So that I'd say if this existed, I would probably favorite. So then you have something to sell to business owners who might need to pivot, or to somebody who says, I want to go into this market, but now I've got a database that says, yeah, that market may be there or may not be there.
yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, I think that's making me think about like maybe food trucks are trying to decide if they want to go brick and mortar. This could be a way for them to potentially identify that. That's great feedback.
So first, who are your advertisers? I'm not clear on who's advertising. Is
Sure.
it the restaurants themselves or?
So we tap into Facebook Audience Network. So when you go and advertise through Facebook, it's either through their feed or through their or Instagram or through their audience network. And so because we require Facebook Audience Network, we can tap into that and have pretty good data. So like the CPM for that is a lot higher because Facebook knows that user just like they know that user on Facebook itself. So we use their network. So anybody buying ads, targeting foodies, targeting restaurants, targeting eating, any of those things, yeah, we'll automatically we'll sell. And then eventually the restaurants will be able to buy advertising through our own portal as well, but it'll always be in tandem.
And then, I know we're tight on time. The last question was, I'm not so clear on how you publish the survey like the best burger. Who determines who's on that list? And if I know a place that's better than all of them, how do I
Sure.
say the
Yeah.
best burger is not on here, it's another place?
Right. So at this point, the list is created through the favorites. So the list can't be changed. If you go in the app right now, you can see it actually back there. It's a little far away, but that's the coffee list. Kudu's at the top. So we would take that list, put it on our website.
So where does that list come from? Like
That
if you're-
list comes from the app. Those are all locals who have said this is my one favorite. So Kudu has.
But if I'm on the app
Yep.
and there's a coffee shop called Lulu's Coffee,
Mm-hmm.
how is Lulu's Coffee? How do you have Lulu's Coffee listed?
Oh, okay. That's a great
how-
question.
yeah,
I
where do you
understand.
get
I'm
that
sorry.
content?
Okay.
Yeah.
So we actually tap into Yelp's API right now, ironically, to pull in all restaurant data. So you can search for any restaurant in the world and it's on there. Sorry. That's a great question. I was not connecting. All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.